Hello, friends. My name is Dr. Caroline Ware, and I am introducing generational health along with my co-host, my beautiful wife, Dr. Caroline Ware. Now, let me give you some background on what generational health is. Generational health is essentially what our idea of overall health throughout the entire community really is about. It's not just about affecting one person in the family, it's about affecting everyone. And if you believe the way we believe, as being Christians as well as being physicians, we believe that our neighbors are not just our people that's next to us, is everyone that's involved. So the way we practice health and healing is about really affecting everyone. I mean, I know personally, and Caroline will tell you the truth as well, we don't just treat an individual patient, we treat the entire family, grandmother, great grandmother, down all the way to a newborn infant as well. So as well as thank you for joining me on this platform. WYTV7 is a beautiful platform. And please, guys, the way we're able to even bring you this broadcast is by actually having donations. The reason why we choose to ask for donations is because of the fact that we're able to bring you such phenomenal content, such as generational health and all things dealing with health and healing throughout all platforms as well. So let me introduce my beautiful wife, Dr. Caroline Ware. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my background is in Oriental medicine, a doctor of Oriental medicine. I've been practicing since 2007. I really started with special education, actually, as my undergrad. And I was working with a lot of children with autism. So when he approached me about generational health and talking to people, well, I really have been practicing with children and then the parents and, trying to get into it. It's just really important then having our own kids and, just making sure everybody in the family is being taken care of. I've seen my two grandmothers pass away and have been blessed enough to be there to help them through that time. And then also, raising the kids. So yeah, I guess it's just important to me. So.
Perfect. Yeah, and one reason why I wanted to co-host with my wife is because of the fact that it's not just about telling you guys a bunch of information, because I can rattle off facts and figures all day long, but I wanted you guys to really understand that we really do practice what we preach. I myself suffer from a genetic red blood cell disease, sickle cell beta thalassemia is what I have. My wife also has an autoimmune disease that she suffers from on a daily basis. So we're going to give you, behind the scenes what doctors deal with on a daily basis, not just with patients and tell things from a third person perspective, but more so our own troubles, our own things that we deal with on a daily basis. So the whole idea for generational health, this whole entire series, is really helping you guys understand that by you affecting yourself, we are hoping to give you the tools, the tool belt, I'll even say, so you can pick and choose the things that's going to be perfect for yourself and also your generations to follow you, and also your mom and dad as well. Because part of what we've seen in our own family is the fact that once we start to feel better and act a little bit different, we do get our parents that, like, what are you taking? What are you eating? Like, why are you eating all these things? And they become curious in a good way. We see how our kids even. We have this funny event. It happened almost on the same day. I took my son to a birthday party recently. My wife went to another event with my daughter, and they both were like, can we just get some fresh fruit or some apples or some celery? Because there's just so much of the candy, the classic things that people think that kids want to have, but kids really are crying out for really good food. So I'm gonna ask my wife a few questions just to jump into it, just to break things a little bit. So Caroline, Dr. Caroline, I'll be official. Tell me something that's important for you, that you want viewers to really understand, that is easy for them to implement right here and right now in their health, and how that can actually look towards the future generations.
I think to remember that health is simple. I think we've made things so complicated in the last few years, and there's always something new coming out, and new fads, new diets, new this, new that, and just remembering that it's quite simple, and you just have to schedule those things in. I mean, I'm sure we'll do a whole broadcast of hydration because, I know you're very passionate about it. And I have heard you talk about hydration for years, and it's something I was not doing. I have to schedule it into my day. Literally, I have to make sure I drink my 4 glasses of water before 12 o'clock, and then I try to do the 4 after. But those are the simple things. It really is that simple. We don't need to learn much more, we just need to remember to do the simple things daily. And I think that's what we'll be showing them, and just to remember that. So don't think that this broadcast is going to be something that's going to make you, do something crazy or whatever. It really is just scheduling your health in, scheduling all those things in. Does that make sense?
So, sorry to cut you off, hopefully you weren't finished, but I love the way you put it. Schedule in your health. I mean, that's a brilliant line right there. And why do I say it's a brilliant line? It's because of the fact that we're so busy, right? One reason why, and part of what my wife and I do, we're total nerds. I'll say I'm a nerd. She'll say she's a nerd. But what we do is we really do look at these documentaries and look at ways that people have been, I say, from a biological anthropology standpoint, where like just the history of food, like how do we get so far away from eating just simple food? Forgetting that, yes, canning food is something that's still healthy. Canned food, not canned food, but back in the day when you saw grandma doing the preserves and things that. So I'm from the country, by the way. So, we still used to do that stuff, canned food and bottled food and things of that sort, preserved foods in certain ways. That's still healthy if you do it in the proper way. How do we get away from that? I told my mom this story. My mom was laughing at me. I was like, the first one I actually saw packaged chicken, because I grew up on a farm. We had our own chickens and pigs and goats and all those other things. And she was like, yeah, I recall the day you were asking what was that in the pack. She was like, chicken. I said, no, we got that, inside our barns and things of that sort. How do we get away from the simple things? Why did we get away from the simple things? And then the thing I want you guys to also realize this right here. If the way we're supposed to be eating is giving you so much more time for you to have to yourself, what are you even doing with that time, right? You're eating this fast food, this microwave food, or this fast food and all this other stuff. So what are you doing with your time? Are you truly spending time for yourself? And now, and again, don't think that we're going to talk about like the hydration or diet and things of that sort. It's gonna be mental health, it's gonna be spiritual health. We'll also be speaking about as well. So that's part of the whole generational health idea, is make sure that we're giving you mind, body, and also spirit on how to make sure that you're gonna be a whole, healthy person. And no, I'm not saying because, you're 160 pounds, you're healthy, because trust me, I was 150 some pounds and thought I was totally healthy. And I was totally unhealthy as well. Just because you're on a diet, because you're keto, vegan, paleo, whatever, it does not mean you're healthy. We're going to try to help you understand what's healthy for you and what's healthy within your own budget. Okay. You're not saying go out and buy a juicer and a blender and all these crazy things, and you got to eat, this expensive food. Just eat the simple food that's healthy for you as well. So sorry to go for a little tangent. So, and again, you mentioned hydration, the fact that I'm crazy on hydration. Tell me one reason why you don't even schedule it in. But why was hydration not important for you?
I can't swallow that much water. Like I'm not thirsty. I don't like to drink. I don't know. I've always it was always in my head, like, oh, if I was dizzy or something, like, oh, did you eat something? People always ask you if you ate, but nobody asked me if I drank anything, so you think that you drink when you're thirsty, but I'm just not thirsty, so.
And the reason why I brought that question up, because I sort of knew the answer already, but the funny thing is, think back to how many times we've seen babies, and the first thing we would ask a mom is, well, how do you know that a child is actually hydrated, right? How do you know the child is actually sucking like 2 to 3 ounces of breast milk, if it's not inside of a bottle? So it really goes back to teaching the mom on how to understand how hydrated their baby should be. So my point is, it's not something that we actually are taught until someone teaches you about hydration, right?
Just recently, I looked to see how much our kids should be drinking. Our kids are 9 and 8. And I was blown away about how much they should be drinking too. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're not drinking that much.
And side note, guys, I'm always talking about hydration, so she's not listening to me. It's crazy because we assume that, oh well, they're kids, they're resilient, but again, just being 10% dehydrated, guys, just 10% dehydrated. I'm gonna tell you what actually happens to the body. You're now increasing you're decreasing your rate of immunity by over 150%. Right, you now are now making your blood more thick, more viscous. So if you already have a chronic disease like hypertension or diabetes or any other metabolic disease, you're not allowing the nutrients to be taken out of your blood fast enough, right? Another thing is you're not allowing your body to also detox well enough. So it's so many different things. I mean, I can go on and on how genetically, the things can be like modified, things of that sort. But there's so many just basic things just with hydration. Now, how we're not teaching our kids about hydrating, right? I mean, I love coaching my kids sports. And the first thing I always tell them, I give them water breaks all the time. I don't care if it's cold outside, if it's hot outside, because the normal idea is to sort of say, well, it's hot outside, so you shouldn't actually need anything to drink, right? I mean, sorry, it's cold outside, you don't need anything to drink. You need to actually hydrate more when you're cold than when you're hot. Why is that? And I said that not per se more, but you can be more conscious of it as well. When you're hot, you desire water. You want to cool yourself down. When you're cold, you're not realizing that you're creating this vibration. You start to shiver and create these vibrations to create heat inside of your system. I mean, think about it as the original microwave, right? You're shivering to create this friction that's inside your body to also create heat. What's actually making that heat? Water. The water in your body is heating up to actually heat the body up to be a certain temperature as well. So if you're dehydrated, you start to burn fat. You don't want to start burning fat. That's when you become like more sick and things like that. So simple things like that help you understand about just hydration is not something that we're taught. And it's not even hydrating with H2O. What is it really hydrating with? It's the trace minerals, right? So Caroline, tell us your favorite drink in the morning before you start anything else, and why it's so important for you to hydrate with this special drink.
I know what drink you're referring to. However, it's changed.
No, I want you to say your favorite drink in the morning.
Honestly, I like drinking I drink an 8-ounce glass of water with a little dropper of chlorophyll.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
I think it would be important for most women just because we have our cycles every month. So it helps replenish that blood loss.
Yeah. And again, is that thing that I was just talking about, she's hydrating with chlorophyll first thing in the morning in a warm, I call it a warm glass of water, and the reason why is because chlorophyll is the closest thing to our own hemoglobin. Our hemoglobin has iron in that chain, in the heme chain, but in the chlorophyll, it actually has magnesium. So it's even better for us because most of us, like about 98% of us, are deficient in magnesium as well. So chlorophyll is actually allowing your body to get a bunch of actual nutrients as well. So it's something so simple and easy for you guys to do chlorophyll or some other tea as well. So guys, we're going to take a break right now. Stay tuned, and we'll come back to answer some more questions with Dr. Charlie Ware and also Dr. Caroline Ware with Generational Health. Thank you so much.
80% of women will develop a pelvic health condition at some point in their lives. There is relief. There is hope. The Pelvic Floor Store, your resource for personal health.
Hello, friends. Dr. Charlie Ware here, along with Dr. Caroline Ware with Generational Health. Thank you for continuing to stay with us. And also thank you for supporting WYTV7. And guys, please give us a donation so we can continue to do these programs. WYTV7 is a system of broadcasters that are all about bettering our health as well as our country as well. So thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to continue to talk about generational health with Dr. Caroline Ware now. So right before the break, we were getting into what you drank first thing in the morning, why it was so important. And actually, I'm gonna jump in there and finish it out because I'm an author and I'm an egghead, so I want to give some background why bioactive nutrients are so important, how easy it is for us to get first thing in the morning. Me personally, I love to drink a warm tea of turmeric, ginger, and also lemon. And what Caroline drinks is a warm beverage of chlorophyll. The reason why we do that is because of the fact that our body detoxifies itself mostly at night, right? It prepares all the toxins that you've either ingested or you've gone through the stressors you put on your body at night, and you package it all up in the morning. So between like really 5 and 9 a.m., some people say 7 and 11. I say it's really 5 and 9 because I'm going on a different schedule. Your body really wants to either urinate everything out or defecate everything out. Let's be real, that's what most people actually go to the bathroom. And part of that is the production of a bunch of mucus and other toxins, right? So when you're drinking, and the research is a gentleman that has a research center out of Japan, when he researched the fact that people who drink warm beverages first thing in the morning, they're able to actually detox faster. They actually are able to actually get more mucus out of their gut and out of their gut, out of their anus, the vagina, their urethras, all these things. And why is all that important? We have to understand that our body, we have mucus all over our body. That's designed to actually help us get rid of either bacteria or help us produce good bacteria inside of our body. When we're overeating, when we're overdoing certain things, our body isn't allowed itself to really produce the good mucus, it's actually producing the bad mucus. So that's when the candida and the yeast overgrowth, all these things really start to happen inside of the gut, right? So by you having just a warm beverage, you're actually allowing your body to get a better matrix inside of your gut, inside of your esophagus, inside of your nasal passages, and all these things as well, just by having a warm beverage. But then when you combine it with bioactive nutrients such as chlorophyll, such as curcumin from turmeric, such as xamarinus from the ginger, and just by having the actual lemon to help alkaline the body, you get rid of even more toxins, right? And some of these things, the curcumins and the chlorophylls, things of that sort, they help the body activate certain epigenetic markers that help the body detoxify itself a lot faster as well. So it helps to rebalance not just the mucosal lining, but it also helps to engage more genes to work the proper way too. So it's a multi-layered thing that actually starts to happen. So Dr. Caroline, I explained, part of my genetic disorder to people, but we know that because I mentioned you actually have a autoimmune disease. So tell me about your autoimmune disease and some things you learned about it as well.
With the ulcerative colitis, it's been 9 years, I guess.
Yeah.
And it started with really pregnancy, I would say, something like the hormones or whatever, or the stress of it all. But before, I know, me and stress, hi, we're best friends. But before it was, I also had Lyme disease. I mean, I've had every weird disease. My mom says that I have diseases that only dogs have, because I had giardia when I was younger. That's something that dogs typically get. I mean, then I got Lyme disease. And then with the ulcerative colitis. So it was kind of what I would like to teach listeners, like in another episode, is just, looking at how your body's transformed throughout the years, because you can see that the autoimmune didn't just happen, for me being on all these, like each one I had to be on like intense amount of antibiotics. So that really affects the body. And if I didn't and wasn't eating well and was stressing myself out, because I was also a competitive gymnast, so I was like really training too hard too. Like I could just see over the years where my body, and then whoop, here we go, pregnancy just kind of tipped me over into autoimmune. Same thing, because I was working with children with autism in the educational standpoint first. And it was like, all my parents were saying, my kids were normal, except for one girl, but they were like, my kids were normal. And then something just there was a tipping point into, this. So I think you can all look back to see where's my tipping point and kind of see where you've come from. So I don't know what the question you asked me originally, but there you go. That's my answer. So
well, the thing I'm gonna tease out of there is the stress marker, right? And knowing our families and things that sort, and knowing your family a little bit more, we know that and I run genetic tests on her, on Dr. Caroline, and also some of her family as well. And we know that they do not handle stress very well. It's from a genetic standpoint, stress is not their friend. How about that? And ironically enough, we do see that in my youngest son, as well, where, at a young age, he had to have his surgery. Unfortunately, it wasn't anything serious. We were born, because I have 12 fingers as well. He was born with 12 fingers, and he had to have it removed. I didn't want to do the surgery, but he had to be on an antibiotic. And what we noticed was ever since he was on an antibiotic, his microbiome has changed. Now, what we found from the microbiome, we know that antibiotics just ruin the microbiome. But what happens is really the fact that phenotypically, at such a young age, it does not allow the microbiome to really express itself fully. And then even like in the 9 years later, we still are rebuilding his microbiome, in different ways. But it's also the way he handles his stress. We know that he's a little bit more stressed, either because, he'll have a rash somewhere, or we know he's about to be stressed because of the fact of how he's reacting to his stressors and things of that sort, so it's really about knowing those small little details that really count as well. And knowing Dr. Caroline and going through some of the stuff that she's gone through with stress and how she's handled stress, almost every time she had we call them flares, it was a stress moment then. Either she was getting ready to go into her flare and she got stressed out, or she was completely stressed out and then she again went to a flare. So either she ate something to stress her body out, or she physically got stressed out. So for us, it's really about balancing the stress and how the stress is being responsible inside of her body. I'm sorry, you were gonna say something?
Well, I just wanted to explain stress too, and I'm sure again we'll do another episode just on stress.
You gotta explain stress.
But it's not always emotional stress. It's also physical stress as well. So there's.
Yeah, and well, and just to clarify and take it a little bit deeper, I'm glad you brought it up, because you also got to understand, guys, and please, when I say this, please listen, write this down, tattoo on your arm. Just because you don't see your allergy does not mean that it's not stressing your body out. And this is the case in point with Dr. Caroline. We didn't know she was allergic to chicken. We didn't know she was allergic to some simple things, and she was eating all these things. When I say it was stressing your body out, she was having an allergic reaction inside of her gut whenever she ate this stuff. So if you're slightly allergic to something, it's, oh, well, I have a dairy allergy, but I drink the A2 milk or whatever, your body will still have a reaction to that, guys. Mm-hmm. So again, just those small little, reactions, those small little stressors add up over a long period of time. So when these metabolic diseases start to creep up inside the body, it's not something that's I don't know how that happened. Well, you already knew you had lactose intolerance. So why'd you put milk in your coffee on a daily basis? Right? You already know that, if you had too much sugar, you break out in these rashes, whatever, but hey, you got to have your pastry every day. So it's those small things that actually start to happen. There's been times where even with Dr. Caroline, even myself, I said, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to eat it anyway. And I pay the consequences later. And then 2 weeks into her paying the consequences, she's like, I should have done it. I'm like, well, you said you want to do it anyway. So the thing that we've learned how to do is really, how do you work around that stuff? Right. So we've given you some framework of what generational health and how it can actually look. Like we said with her situation, actually, let me speak about mine real quick. I don't want to put it all on her. I have sickle cell beta thalassemia. Before I thought I only had, sickle cell trait. No one thought anything of it. Oh, just don't marry anyone with sickle cell trait and you'll be fine. Wrong. I've had crisis. I used to have severe migraines and things of that sort, and now I'm susceptible to certain infections. I have a sinus infection that, I always got to deal with some sort of way, and I know it's directly correlated with some of my situations. However, my oldest daughter is the only one who actually has the trait. And we do see it in her, where we have to make sure certain things genetically have to sort of line itself up. If she oversugars herself, she gets acne. She also starts getting inflamed. She has, bad periods. If she overdairies herself, sort of the same thing. So again, the food is also a big marker with her, and me passing on this gene to her from a generational standpoint, she now has to sort of eat the way daddy eats, in which I got to eat that stuff. Yes, because it's going to make your body less inflamed as well. So is different ways of having the body and it helps sort of intertwine with making sure that, again, you learn how to deal with the stress, you learn how to eat for your stress, but you also now you're learning how to even think clearly through your stress and how the body is really not going to exhibit, or we say it from a scientific standpoint, phenotypically express certain things as well. So long story short, guys, what we're looking at is right here is to give you an overall framework of not just saying what you're doing wrong and pointing fingers. We're saying here's a certain area maybe you want to look at. Like today we looked at hydration. We started there, right? We said, hey, maybe look at your hydration. Maybe look at your diet. You need just little snippets here and there. Look at these certain things. And then what you're going to start doing is journal. Do not be afraid to journal. The thing that I find individuals, are afraid of, they're afraid to write down their problems because they didn't want to face their problems. So if you, but Habakkuk, I hate trying to say that, Habakkuk 2, it says in the Bible, write down your goals so that all can see, so they can be blessed, right? So if you are tired of being sick, if you're tired of, even seeing like your kids being sick and your parents being sick, start to write down your health goals, right? I call it a nutritional status report. You write down what you're eating, write down what you're stressed about, write down the simple things that you can control right here and right now. And by just starting there, we're going to start you on a journey to help you like situate and fix some of those things, right? So that's the thing that I want you to sort of focus as well. So I want you to give your idea as well. I'll go jump into it. So part of this, we're starting this in a new year. So what we're going to do is have you guys really look at your overall health and start the new year all correct by doing one simple thing. Start a nutritional status goal, right? We want you to start saying, hey, look, how can I improve this nutritional status of my family? First and foremost, by one, not even diet first. How do we handle stress? How are we looking at stress as a family? Are we yellers? Are we like we're passive aggressive? All those things. Then secondly, how do we actually look at a diet and what's most important in our diet, right? Me have a Native American background, also a Caribbean background, also an African background. I have all these diets, that I can do. Caroline's a little bit more simple. She has more of a Mediterranean diet, but what's important in our diet that we don't want to compromise on? However, what can we do to actually elevate that a little bit more? And then you look at budget. Right. And then finally, what we do is we're going to look at things and put it all in a package and say, how can we now manifest that and make sure that our family is going to be healthy in a holistic standpoint. Right. And that's the most important thing for us along this journey is teach you how to go from having an idea to go on to some action steps and then going through it with your entire family. Say, hey, look, how about you guys think about this here and there? Because yes, I'm still the crazy uncle, the crazy, nephew who does all this stuff. He doesn't eat meat, hasn't eaten meat in 30 years. I'm like, yeah, I'm not on any medication, but you guys are, right? And I'm not crazy. It's just the fact that I'm looking at my life from a longevity standpoint as well. So anything else you want to say, guys? Caroline?
No, I'm excited for this journey, to be honest with you. Journaling definitely helps. Or just, like I said, scheduling things, but just getting honest with yourself, I guess, is what's really helpful. So
I love that. I love that. I'm sorry to cut you off. Sorry to cut you off. But yes, guys, thank you so much for joining us on our pilot episode of Generational Health, guys. As Dr. Caroline just said, be honest with yourselves, right? Start to schedule. I'm using all her terms. Start to schedule, your health into your own schedule. It's so important. Then set the goals, set the nutritional status goals. From there, discuss it with your family. See what's most important. Let's look at stress. Let's look at hydration, all those things. But also, guys, let's make sure that we're in every day with a gratitude prayer or mantra or whatever you want to call it. But make sure that you're giving thanks for everything you're doing on a daily basis. So I thank you guys for joining us. Be on the lookout for our next episode very, very soon. And